Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. On the undercard of the Whittaker Gavazi fight, that card on DAZN, there was an intriguing matchup between two former British champions. One was ZELFA BARRETT, who also fought for the IBF super featherweight title back in 2022, I think it was, and he got stopped in the ninth round by Rakimov, Rakimov. I obviously mispronounced his name. But you thought back and then in 2022, this guy's got, Barrett is coming into his own, and he should really make progress now that he's got that experience of having had a world title shot. It didn't quite work out for him though, and he ended up losing to Jazza Dickens earlier this year. He's moved up to lightweight, and I think he's now trained by, I think it's Marcus Morrison, the former middleweight, who retired, I think, a few years ago. He was trained by his uncle, the Black Flash, Pat Barrett. Zelfa's known as the Brown Flash. And, I think he's held the Commonwealth belt as well at Super Feather, British and Commonwealth champ. He took on, in this little 8-rounder, LIAM Dillon, who's also he's a super featherweight former British champ as well. And to be honest with you, Barrett looked the part at lightweight, at least in terms of dimensions and weight. Dillon looked a bit small, to be honest with you, for lightweight. But LIAM Dillon, I mean, God, what a tough kid. He's 29 now, 15 wins with only 3 KOs. He lacks a punch. He does lack a punch. But a game fella, I mean, really, he's now got 5 defeats on his record because he lost this to Barrett. It was the referee was the sole arbiter, and the referee had it same as I did, 78-74, watching it live on DAZN. But he's never been stopped, Dillon, and it's not difficult to see why, because this guy, he's a handful. He doesn't have the most tools in the box. He tends to sort of rely on pressure, on heart, on guts, on big, wide punches, whereas Barrett, far slicker, if not world-class, certainly world-class tools. Whether he always uses them or not is a different thing, but far slicker, lots of straight punches, lovely body work from Barrett throughout the fight. Dillon was grimacing when the body punches were landing, but he was not backing off. No, he wasn't. And against what looked like a much bigger man, even though these are both former super featherweights, he gave everything. He gave everything. Unfortunately, it wasn't ever going to be enough because he picks up his 5th defeat in 7 fights. Now, Dillon, I mean, he lost his British title. He won it off Cass Ashfaq. That was a split decision, I think. And then he won. No, then he lost to Reece Bellotti on a unanimous decision. Ryan Garner beat him in his next fight. That was over 10. He had a couple of wins, including a good one against Mace Rueg, who was undefeated in 12 at the time. Then he lost a 12-rounder for the EBU title to Pierce O'Leary, who was undefeated. He then fought Ahmed Hatim, who was undefeated over 12. That was the final eliminator for the British lightweight title. And now he's lost an 8-rounder to Barrett. But I thought this was so odd, having 2 former British champs in an 8-rounder buried on an undercard. Both these guys, I think, deserve better. And certainly, if I was Dillon, I'd be saying, okay, I've got 5 defeats on my record now. 15-5-1 is his record. You're not doing me any favours here, are you? I think his management team need to maybe take him back to the small hall circuit, get him a few wins against lower level guys, and then maybe make another run for the British title. But there's no doubt that Barrett, far better in terms of talent, looked bigger and far better in terms of ring IQ. That's to take nothing away from Dillon, who is as tough as they come and did not at any point stop moving forward. But Barrett, now that he's with Morrison, seems to be settling into this lightweight division. He had two fights against journeyman. One was against, a journeyman. One was against a guy with a winning record, 19-10. And he had a couple of draws as well, this guy. I can't remember who it was. A guy called, I can't remember the name. He stopped him in 3. And then later on in the year, I think it was only about a month or 2 later, he fought a guy called Lopez, who was a journeyman, and won a 6-round little run around just to sort of get his feet under the table, just to sort of display what he's been working on with his new trainer in the new division. But I suppose this was a considerable step up albeit against another former super featherweight. But he did look the part. He did seem to be picking his punches well, Barrett, especially to the body. He also showed a really good right uppercut, which, again, I mean, the way he was landing it, body punches and the right uppercut, you would think he would be pushing Dillon back. He'd certainly be having an effect on most opponents, but not Dillon. And he was visibly grimacing. He was like, oh, ouch, that hurt, you know. But he was coming forward. He's like, yeah, all right, I'm getting hurt, but that's part of the game. Got a lot of respect for people like Liam Dillon. These guys who aren't the most blessed in terms of talent, but nevertheless, they're fighters, and they will prove that they are fighters. They don't need to prove it to themselves because they already know it, but they will prove it to crowds. And okay, Liam Dillon will always get work, but I don't see him. He needs to go back down a few levels, 2 levels or so, and then make a run maybe for the Commonwealth belt or the British belt again, because even though he's never been stopped, he's taking too much punishment, and he's just been given thankless task after thankless task. Now for Barrett, yeah, I mean, he's 32 now, but I saw some stuff there against Dillon, some moves that he's obviously been working on, which suggest he could, you know, pick up the EBU belt. Can he get back into world title contention? Well, I suppose you could argue you're only one fight away from it, one big win away from it, I should say. So yeah, you know, I mean, he's won the Commonwealth belt. He won that against Leon Woodstock back in 6 years ago, 2019, something like that. He's been British champ. Now it's time, I think, for him to go to the EBU, try and win the EBU belt, and then maybe use it as a springboard to get, you know, into world title contention again, because he's got the raw materials. He's never quite put them together. And if you go back to, like, I mean, this is his 4th fight in the year, so he's keeping active. But if you go back to the start of the year in February when he lost to Jazza Dickens in a 10-rounder, I mean, Dickens is a perfect example of someone who, you know, he's had some bad defeats, some stoppage defeats on his record, but he don't give a fuck. He just keeps going on, just keeps regrouping, and he's no spring chicken himself. If Barrett wants some inspiration, he's only got to look at Jazza Dickens, because Jazza Dickens now is flying. I think he's got one of those regular belts, hasn't he? Is it WBA or IBF regular belt? I want to say WBA regular belt. And he also, he won, I think he went over to Turkey, was it? Or Albania, something like that. I want to say Turkey, and beat some undefeated guy, knocked him out in 4 rounds, Jazza. And this is off the back of, you know, being knocked flat by Hector Sosa. That was 18 months, 2 years, 2.5 years ago. I can't remember exactly when. Kid Galahad beat him twice. You know, this is a perfect example of someone who, if you stay dedicated, you know, and you believe in yourself and just keep working hard, you'll get there. And Jazza Dickens has now got himself a world regular belt, you know, and he's going to make a little bit of money, we would assume. And I think he's about 34, pushing 35 now. So I would expect ZELFA to do the same thing. And this little 8-round victory, again, against a smaller guy, a very, very tough man who's always going to give you rounds. This is a good little springboard to, you know, maybe, you know, European level. And then from European level, I would expect him to go to make a run for a world title. He's only 32. He's got time. But how odd was it to see 2 former British champions fighting each other at a higher weight in an 8-rounder, buried on an undercard of a main event, Whittaker versus Gavazi, which they haven't had the fight yet, but I think it's pretty much a gimme for Whittaker. I haven't seen anything from Gavazi that hints he can win. But let me know what you think. Do you think ZELFA can still do it, can still go to world level? I'm telling you now that all the tools are there. You just got to string them together. It's kind of like having all the perfect ingredients to bake the cake. You just got to know how to bake the cake, you know. But we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. Like the video if you liked it. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. And tell me what you think in the comments below. All right, plenty more to come later on today, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy it. I'll catch you later. Bye for now.